We've now seen something from every team on the Formula One grid regarding their 2022 cars, whether that be just a livery, a car in a shakedown, or some sort of digital render. Now, they do all look slightly different as every team tries to steal a march and find that one special thing that will get them towards the front of the grid. My name is Luke Etheridge, and in this video we're going to have a look at just a few of the things that have been spotted so far. Now, there is an important disclaimer for this video. It was filmed before we saw anything of the Alpine, but unless they come up with something absolutely wild to all the teams, I think a lot of these points will still be valid. And also, the cars that we see in Barcelona testing will likely be slightly different to what we've seen so far, and it's almost certain that by the first race, they will be extremely different indeed. We're going to talk about the front wings first. Now, obviously, as the first part of the car that hits the air, they're always going to be hugely important and they're always going to be hugely complex. It's going to have a massive effect on the downforce of your car and all those following as well. This year, however, they have redesigned it slightly to try and make it have less of an effect on following cars. Teams are now limited to 4 elements in the front wing, rather than the 5 that we saw last year, and Williams in fact have decided to go for only 3. Could this be a sign that they're returning to the low drag philosophy that saw them get so much relative success in the early part of the hybrid era? We'll have to wait and see. Also, the front wings are running significantly higher than what we've seen in previous years, as the teams are trying to disturb the air as little as possible before it gets to those all-important Venturi channels in the floor. Next, we're going to talk about an area where most of the teams have actually gone for something similar, and that is the front suspension. McLaren must have breathed a sigh of relief when Red Bull's footage of their shakedown was leaked, showing that the Red Bull team have gone for pull rod front suspension, as have McLaren, whereas every other team has gone for push rod. What this refers to is whether the strut that connects the wheel assembly to the rocker pushes on the rocker or pulls on the rocker. Now, there's advantages to both of the systems. Pull rod suspension generally has a lower centre of gravity and tends to be a bit lighter, as you have to make a push rod stronger to ensure that it doesn't buckle. However, the main reason teams will go for different ones is depending on their aerodynamic philosophy, and it will be interesting to see which one prevails throughout the season. One area where we have seen a lot of variation, however, is the side pods. Teams with different shapes, sizes, and cooling solutions, Aston Martin and Ferrari taking advantage of the change in the regulations, which has allowed little cooling ducts on the top of the side pods for the first time since 2009. Other teams look to have blanking panels over this area though at the moment, so don't be surprised at the hotter races, Bahrain round 1 for example, if we do see cooling ducts added on top of there. Additionally, all the Ferrari-based teams seem to have really small openings at the front of their side pods at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see how that develops from an aerodynamics perspective and from a cooling perspective as well. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the most important part of the car in the 2022 regulations, the floor, is the bit we know the littlest about. Given that ground effect is playing its biggest part in Formula 1 downforce creation for the past 40 years, it is crucial that the teams get this right, and anyone who can get it better than the rest will be stood in really good stead throughout the season. We did get to see a bit more of the shape of the Mercedes floor though, partly down to the slimmed down side pods that they've got at the car, and they've got this sort of weird melted plastic effect going on the floor as well, and this will all be aimed at improving the airflow towards the Venturi tunnels. Now, we're mentioning Venturi tunnels quite a lot, but what exactly do we mean by that? The Venturi effect basically says as the dynamic pressure increases, i.e. as the faster the airflow goes, the static pressure must drop. If the static pressure drops below the car, it will basically get sucked towards the ground, increasing the downforce. To try to aid with this, teams are also running with practically zero rake this year, and that's something we only saw Mercedes and Aston Martin do last time around, so this could be one area where those two teams have a bit more experience and might just do better. Thanks to the beautiful British weather, we did get a bit of a view of how the wake of the disturbed air will be different on the 2022 cars compared to 2021. It looks as though this wake is being pushed up much higher in the air, which means it won't be going back as far. That should mean less dirty air at the distances we've seen it be a problem at over the last few years, and if rumours are to be believed that braking distances may be longer in 2022 as well, partly down to the increased weight of the cars, this should make overtaking just that tiny bit easier, and that of course was the main aim of these new regulations. So, there we have it then, a look at a few of the technical battlegrounds that the teams will be fighting over this season, and that fight starts this week of course with Barcelona pre-season testing. Which car is your favourite so far? And is there any team that you expect to do particularly well this year? Let us know down in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. And I'll see you next time around. Goodbye.